for Common Man. Common man, challenge the hardest ones like no one can. What'd you shoot? Where'd we play? Non-stop nonsense on deck today. Tune in, it's time for Common Man.
Why should anybody aspire to be a common man, an average man? Do you realize what it means to be average? That means you're the best of the lousiest, and the lousiest of the best. Now, if we demand more and more for producing less and less, while the have-not nations encourage and inspire and indeed require hard work and maximum effort, if we deify the common men while they encourage and reward the uncommon ones, well, the end result of such a lopsided race as that is too obvious to require elaboration.
I mean, it's like, hello?
Oh, boy.
Now, just, on the one hand, pitching has been pretty good. I'm not saying they can't add Shohei Ohtani. They don't that much better. Yeah. But they're not saying that, they're not sitting there with a, good Lord, we have either him or, Dylan Bundy taking up the fifth spot in the rotation. Right? It's not that. And from a hitting standpoint, well, he's been doing a lot of DHing. We've got Buxton at DH right now. He's not yet moved to center field. We don't know if he's going to be moving to center field. So it's also not like an ideal fit.
Oh, there's that. Time is running out on Dan Cole's round. Let's go to 15. Bob?
Yeah, John Cole has been visibly angry. He's been talking to himself quite a bit. And it doesn't get any easier here on the par 3 15th hole at Minnesota National. This hole is guarded by two bunkers with a big tree in front of the green. Very challenging tee shot. He's opted to hit a 5-iron here. Cole, unreal pants, fluttering in the wind, mumbling to himself, I've got to have this shot. Hooty-hoo! Ooh, that's very well struck. Spinning through the air like a J.J. McCarthy pass. It's right on line. Looking good. Oh, my! It's in! I can't believe what I just saw. A hole-in-one for Cole at the 15th, and he's pointing at patrons in the gallery shouting, you doubted me, you doubted me, you doubted me, and now he's embracing his son, Peter. What a moment between father and son here at the 15th at Minnesota National.
He's the clown from Brown. He's the fourth in the north. This is the common man, Dan Cole.
It was a memorable moment. And there are those that are wondering, they say, this radio station, by the way, I'm the common man, Dan Cole, Akadak, and Dak, you and yours. In for Tennessee today is Brett Blakemore. And, our program director here, Chad Abbott, who I've known for 13, 14 years, actually probably about 20, 25 years. He's highly regarded, not just locally, but all across the industry, right? He's kind of the godfather of sports talk, radio sports talk program directors, right? And so Tennessee tells me I'm out Friday. I want to put a program password together. So I text you and I go, you in tomorrow? And you go, haven't heard anything, must be Maxbro. So I text Max, I go, you win? He goes, I haven't heard anything, must be Brett.
Huh?
So if I don't reach out to you, like let's say it was just it was a Thursday rather than Friday where I really wanted to do program password, when I rolled in here at noon, there'd be nobody sitting in that chair. We'd go, well, who's supposed to be here? So no! Maybe he's not quite as sharp as he once was. Maybe he's starting to lose it. He didn't even...
Is it over?
Well, I don't know. He didn't have anybody scheduled. And I know Tennessee had to have told him. Tennessee is he's very responsive. If Tennessee's going to be out, he's going to tell. So I'm sure he told Abbott, and Abbott spaced it out. You think that would have happened if it was the Power Trip Morning Show? Think that would have happened if it was the Paul Allen Project? Think what happened if it was bumper to bumper? Not a chance. But with me, it's just the Common Man program, and he just spaced it out. And
we'll figure it out later.
Here you are. I'm glad you were here.
I am too.
And then, apparently, you were the only one. Max wasn't available. I just don't think Max wants to be available. His star is rising fast. And maybe he just doesn't want to play second fiddle to the Common Man anymore. I don't know. But you're here, and I'm glad to see you're there. You put together a program password,
I did.
Correct?
I am prepared to host program password today.
And I think you tried to get Little B going by saying you've had a lot of difficult words you put in the hopper today. My favorite with Tennessee one time was, sometimes, the game probably isn't as fast paced as it probably should be. And we've had games over the years where we'll get to that. All right, for 4 points. Right? Nobody can get it. And then Tennessee actually said one day, he said, boy, I might run out of words. And I'm thinking to myself, how many words are there in the English? Could you IHOP that? IHOP, how many words are there in the English language? Because there's got to be at least a couple, 1,400, I would think, right?
First result says roughly 1 million words.
So how's he going to run out of words?
He's got to go off script.
I mean,
he's going to stick to the game plan.
Just come up with the word toilet, which is where the show was going at the time. I was headed right down to the mind. Go with toilet. Go with field. Go with gridiron. You can do a lot of sports-related stuff. The word is rink. The password is hockey. The password is tarp shooter. My first, and of course for tarp shooter, my first clue would be failure. And then you would say, Common Man's flop, sweat, and tears ticket sales. And I would think, well, that's there too.
Is that today?
Yeah, and it's not going well at all.
Oh, sales are tepid.
No, they're moribund. And, we've said this before, and people say we cry wolf about never doing it again. We have 2 shows scheduled, closed circuit to Chris at Bogarts and Andy at Forgotten Star. I have to discuss it with Sauce tonight, but I think we're going to cancel the February and March shows.
No.
Well, nobody cares anymore. I mean, there was a time when we'd say it's over. We generally sell 125 to 150 tickets. Sometimes we'll sell 200, right? They want to see the comedic stylings of the Common Man and Meat Sauce, Touch the hem of the garment. Wow, see them in real life. They're real human beings. Look at there they are. Aren't they funny? And I think people are on to us and realize they're really not that funny. They're radio personalities, and I use the word personalities lightly, right? They're radio personalities masquerading as stand-up comics, and they're not any good at it. They're just trying to fleece the upper Midwest club by club. Get people to pay money, we get a cut, and we go home, we got a couple of extra dollars, and Sauce has got a baby to provide for now, folks. Don't you feel bad for him? Don't you want to buy tickets for tonight? So I think what we'll do is we'll wait next year. We'll just wait till after the first year. So a year from now. Oh. And we'll do outstate Minnesota again. Because we've not been to Fargo in 3-4 years. Not been to Duluth, and by next year it'll be a couple of years for sure. Haven't been to Mankato in a while, to the legendary Cato Ballroom. We've only done 2 shows in Rochester. Oh, Rochester, and we've not been there in a long time. And then we'd like go ahead.
So this could be it for the metro area.
I think it probably. I mean, unless the guys at the 2 clubs say, "Well, we got to kind of have you," but then it's like you won't have to worry about finding room because it's just not working anymore, and it's a little disappointing. It's it's a blow to the ego more than the pocketbook. Again, I'm not living check to check. But it's nice, when you got 2 kids that are draining your retirement savings by going to school at Nebraska and the Ohio State. My 2 boys, they've learned a lot in school. They're really good at spelling. You know how they spell dad?
What's that?
ATM. My boy handed me the bill yesterday from Paulie's Automotive for the oil change. Here, ATM, you might want to take care of this. It's your car.
So they don't have
I bought you the car. Why do I have to pay for your oil changes too?
So they don't have the credit card that just runs directly to you.
Baby brother Peter does.
Yeah, that's the move.
He's got that.
Because then that's my move. I'm not ashamed to admit it.
Yeah.
You go get the oil change. You go, oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I put it on the card. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but you really meant to do it the whole time.
I mean, I want to eat. So we'd really like you to buy tickets to the show tonight at cinemagrill.com. I know it's like.
Will the books be available?
Yeah, and you know what? The truth of the matter is, this is the truth. I have less than 100 books left, and I started with 5,232 books, and I'm under. Now it's taken. The books went on sale in 2018, so that's how many years? That's 7 years, going on 7. It was the winter of 2018, so this winter, so it'd be about 6 years, and no one's ever asked for a refund, but I've never. There is no refunds. There isn't a money back guarantee if you don't like the book as a doorstopper or something to read. As you bought it. You're buyer beware, as we like to say. And then I made the mistake of, so we wanted to have new T-shirts for the show, right? And they cost a pretty penny. But if we sell them all and price them right, we can make some additional cash. And I told Sauce, let's get 200 of them. And he goes, I think that's probably too many. No, we'll sell them. He goes, I think it's too many. I said, well, why? How many do you think we should buy? He said 100. I said, why don't let's split the difference and go 150. And he hemmed and hawed and said, yeah. So we ordered 150 shirts. We have about 130 shirts, and we've done like 3 or 4 shows. So we'll have T-shirts and books there tonight. But it's like, I don't even think we're going to have 75 people there tonight. I thought you were going to play.
Only one way to change it.
I thought you were going to play Sad Eyes there. It's over.
Well, I'd have to cut it out.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's no big deal. So this is what we're going to do. You have a 5-3-4 scheduled for. No, Lil B's in. That's right. We don't do it. So it's Friday. So Lil B at 1. And then she'll be around for a couple of segments. She hangs with us. This is what we're doing for Program Password today. Lil B, me, Sauce, and Larry Mondello Guy, the 3 Stooges from Flop, Sweat, and Tears. I would have invited Colleen Justice in, but I already had Lil B. Lil B's already part of the show, so I couldn't. So,
please.
Yeah, because Colleen Justice is working with us, a very funny young lady, so we'll be doing comedy night. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I do have some controversial Vikings news for you on the other side of the break. Yeah, you're going to want to hold on your hats for that. But right now, as we go to break, I think you've got that keyword to try to put $1,000 in somebody's hand.
I do. The fan wants to give you that shot to put $1,000 in your hand with the National Cash Contest. Head to KFAN.com and enter the keyword bonus. That keyword is bonus. KFAN.com, keyword bonus. Don't miss out on the Power Trip Morning Show when they take over Treasure Island February 6th and 7th. Be there for tons of games, laughs, and great prizes, including Vegas trips to watch the big game. Book your stay using the promo code KFAN for both the 6th and 7th to save 15%. Full details and to book your stay today, head over to KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
This generic music sounds a lot like Van Morrison's Gloria. I think that's what they pass.
That's what they're going for?
Yeah, well, I think that's what they do. Yeah, they just make music beds for us to use. We've gone over it. I think I've told people often. It's like people miss the licensed music that has become a part of the common man. No one utilized music better in the history of radio as a talk show host. Utilized music as much as I did. Use it for doing weather forecasts on the ramps. Use it for games such as Tennessee would play a song and I would try to guess where it, and name the title and the artist of the song and then guess how far it got up in the charts and when it was released, what year. So we always had fun with music.
Try to hit the call letters on the post.
Well, exactly. But then what happened was those BMI and ASCAP music licenses, so when songs are played on the radio, whoever wrote the song gets paid for the number of plays, the number of spins it gets, right? And back in the olden days, as a DJ, you'd have to manually fill out a chart once a year, write down every song you played for like a 2-week period, that they would make their estimations, and they'd send guys like Jerry Rafferty a check for $125,000 a year for the song Baker Street. It's a great gig if you can get it, right? Well, then technology changed, and now there's podcasts, and people just started using songs on podcasts, or in our case, when we would podcast our shows, because our podcasts are so good, they're actually radio shows, right?
I always love that one.
The music industry said, well, wait a minute now. Those licenses were for over-the-air. Do we call it terrestrial radio? Is that what we're called?
Yeah.
It's not for podcasts, so pony up. And I actually defend radio companies across the country for this. That would be insane. The BMI ASCAP, I don't know, but I bet it costs the major radio companies like us millions of dollars a year. It's like, are you kidding me? Just so they can be on podcasts? Sorry, we're out. So, but I think a lot of those music beds we have, they're just patterned off of somebody else's song. They just change a note here. That sounded exactly like Van Morrison's A Gloria. But that's good. I used to do Dylan duets. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Now, what I did only one or two during the Christmas season, and I should have done it next year when we start playing Christmas music. And we're going to beat Cool 108 to the punch. They always start like before Thanksgiving. We're going to start in September. We're going to play nothing but Christmas music, bump music, and I'm going to do a Dylan duet to every single song. And I don't think people would get tired of that, would they? September, October, November, December, chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose. I don't think people would get, oh, they called me a rumpa-bum-bum. My brother, fastest rising young comedian in the country and has been for about 40 years, 50 years now, he was the first to do Bob Dylan's greatest Christmas hits as a bit, because he'd have his guitar on stage. Just brilliant. I could do the whole 3-4 minute bit, but I wouldn't do it justice. But speaking of justice, Clean Justice tonight, if you want to see her work with Sauce and me and Larry Mandela guy, cinemagrill.com. So anyway, what were we saying? Oh, hey, how about this? Stop the presses.
What?
The Gopher men's basketball team won a Big Ten game.
Oh my gosh.
I actually feel good for them. When it's pros, I don't really, professionals, I don't really get too weepy or, I feel bad for those guys. I mean, I don't. Well, some teams you delight in their losing. I mean, like when your club, the Green Bay Packers, go down to defeat, I'm sorry. Speaking of that, how about this? I was thinking today we'd be talking about Packers Lions at the litter box and your team with a big upset over Philadelphia. And of course, we would be we would be on the air right on the tails of the Friday football feast. It was scheduled to be at BW3, and we would have been at BW3 in Plymouth today for a Friday football feast with the Vikings traveling to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. Not to be.
Well,
it's not right. It's not fair. Right? It's not right. It's not fair. But that's the way it is. So no BW3 today. No you and I talk. But your Packer club, they got a bright future. I think, Badger Bob. Have you ever met Badger Bob? Do you know who Badger Bob is?
I know who Badger Bob is. Never met him.
Badger Bob is a legendary Packer fan. He took me to my first Packer game ever.
Is that right?
Yeah, we went and saw, and I think my first ever Packer game was a Vikings-Packers game. I went to Lions-Packers too, but we went to Vikings-Packers. Mike Morris was still on the team. Mike Morris. We did some tailgating over by Kroll's, and now they've changed that whole area over there. Now they got some kind of a museum or a park. They have some kind of a sliding hill and all kinds of stuff. So that whole area has been changed over there. It's got a hotel, I think, now too. Mm-hmm. But back in the day, back in the 90s, the early to mid 90s, you would just go over there. There was a gas station over there right next to Kroll's. And we'd go over there and we would, that was a grand time to be had. But Badger Bob, legendary, he knows everything about it. We still text and talk more than most people
He still calls in to Packer Preview.
Does he?
Oh, yeah.
And you know what he said? He said, he goes, I texted him during the Packers game, and then he said, we'll be a Super Bowl contender next year.
Whoa.
He thinks they're going to be a Super Bowl contender. And I guess I wouldn't doubt that. They had a really nice year. The Vikings couldn't get past Los Angeles or Detroit. They lost 4 games all year, but they did it to 2 teams. The Vikings finished the season 14-4, 14-3 in the regular season, and then the postseason loss. the two regular season two of the three regular season losses were to the Motor City Kitties. The other regular season loss was to the Rams, and their postseason loss was to the Rams. And same with Green Bay. Green Bay couldn't get past Minnesota or Detroit this year. They lost those 4 games, and then they lost to Philly early, right?
Philly early, Philly late.
In Philly late. So did they only lose? Did they lose just 6 games this year?
Well, then the Bears won too.
Oh, they lost to the Bears. So they lost 7 games altogether?
Ugh.
And think about those. 6 of them were to 3 teams. They lost to teams twice. But, I mean, I think your team has a fairly bright future.
You know what it is for me? Have a good draft, have a good free agency, get back to me.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at with the club right now.
I'm with you. Well, forever I've had this common refrain, pardon the pun, is, after a while, you sort of get worn out by the woeful shortcomings and inadequacies of your club. Whatever those teams here in Minnesota be, your Twins, your Wolves, your Wild, and your big 4 men's major sports. And look, the Twins won 2 World Series, and the other 3 clubs have never won the whole thing. Vikings haven't been back to a bowl game since like 77. So then when people start to get kind of excited about a club, anyway, and everybody's talking them up and doing this. I always just say, get to the Western Conference Finals and get back to me. Get to the NFC Championship game. We've seen this story before, so yeah, it does leave you a little jaded, a little jaded, a little. You're not really mightily impressed by, hey, you got a nice stretch in the race. Hey, Wolves just won 5 of the last 6 games. Great. They've done that before. A lot of teams win 5.
The Wild just beat the Ducks and the Kings.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it's happened before, and it's going to happen again. Let's pause, come back. Controversial Vikings news, other side of the break. I'm Common. He's Brett Blakemore. Little B at 1. Larry Mondello, Guy in Meat Sauce, join us at 1:30 for Program Password. That and more. Common Man Program on the Fan.
If you want to chime in what's happening in your favorite KFAN shows, you can make your voice heard on the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. Just let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That is 64686. Standard text message and data rate supply.
Couple 13-14 past Common Man Program. Lil B joins us 1 o'clock. Program Password. Lil B, myself, Meat Sauce, the legendary Paul Lambert, along with Larry Mondello Guy. Text came into the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line 64686. It says, I guess curiosity not only got the cat, but it got the best of one of our listeners as well. He says, I just read your bio that they posted on the Cinema Grill website where you're working tonight. Got a good chuckle out of this line. Here's what it says. The Common Man Program is considered by many to be the finest 2 hours in radio.
Huh?
He said, don't you have a 3-hour show? Well, there's 2 problems wrong with that. I don't think anybody considers it to be the finest 2 hours in radio. And in theory, it's a 3-hour radio show, but really, 2 hours is. If you even get a good 2 hours out of the 3, you're lucky. So it's probably, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I
mean, today we've got an hour, and then Lil B will come in.
Yeah. Well, there was a time when I only did a 2-hour show. I would do 1 to 3. That's how long I've been working at the Cinema Grill. They just haven't updated. They just go back to whatever they used before. I don't think they go back to, they don't go to the KFAN website to change things up. So they just go 2 hours. That's what he did, 1 to 3. And that's what it was back in the old days. I'd mentioned the Gophers. They won a game last night. Logo 3 by the Garcia kid, too, in overtime. They beat the 20th ranked Wolverines. They beat the Michigan Wolverines. And I was looking at 84-81 in overtime. It says that's the Gophers' first Big Ten victory this season and the first ranked victory under 4th-year coach Ben Johnson. That's only the first time in 4 years that Ben Johnson's Gophers have beaten a ranked team. That doesn't seem right. I'm not suggesting they've been a powerhouse, but I would have thought they would have beat somebody along the line. But that's what kind of a struggle it's been for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Garcia had 27 points and 12 rebounds and took a pass from a teammate. He was like literally logo 3 and at the buzzer knocked it down, and the Gophers, they win a game. So good for them. Speaking of the Gophers, though, we talked about them the other day a couple of times this week. We've talked about because of their woeful shortcomings and inadequacies, and part of that in a piece that was wrote by Marcus Fuller, who does a terrific job writing a Gopher basketball for the Fish Wrap Factory on the west side, suggested that, a lot of that might have to do with, nil money. We did lose a handful of players, not, McDonald's All-Americans or Burger King All-Americans or Wendy's All-Americans or Five Guy All-Americans or Culver's, but really some talented kids, and they left for greener pastures. And it's been very difficult to keep local kids here as well. And the latest local phenom is a kid named Cedric Tomes. You familiar with Cedric?
Of course.
Cedric, I actually know Cedric a little bit. He plays for Eastridge. He's been a starter on Eastridge since his freshman season. My boy was a senior. Baby brother Peter was a senior when we call him Seti, when Cedric was a freshman. And he has started every game. He will every one of his games, he will start varsity. Unless he gets injured, he gets hurt or something. I mean, anytime he plays, he will play every game, starting his freshman year through his senior year, I would imagine. Good kid. I mean, he can, the story of the headline of the story says, Tomes goes from shooter to scorer for Eastridge boys basketball team. And when he started as a freshman, he was 5'8" or 9", and he was very slight. He's had a growth spurt. He's getting a little bit stronger. So now he's able to not just sit back and jack up there. And he can hit logo threes. He's a great three-point shooter, one of the best in the state. And now he's turned more into a scorer rather than so he's really developing his all-around game. The sub-headline of the Marcus Fuller piece, though, says, Thomas, a junior with a scholarship offer from the Gophers, is averaging over 30 points a game. Eastridge coach Josh Peltier, who I know very well, he coached Baby Brother Peter, says he's playing at such a high level, more people are becoming interested. In other words, more schools across the country. Minnesota was the first Division I offer that Tomes had received. But apparently now, according to the story, give me a second here, I got to scroll down. Tomes now has offers from the Gophers, Iowa State, Oklahoma, St. Thomas, Drake, Northern Iowa, and St. Louis. Notre Dame, Wake Forest, and Clemson have shown interest too. And when you see all those other schools, now every kid, every individual is different. But if you go historically what most Minnesota kids do, it's, well, I like to go for program and everything, but guess what? I'm going elsewhere. Tomes is quoted in the story. He says, it's been a cool process, but I'm just taking it day by day. Says the Gophers have been struggling in Coach Ben Johnson's fourth season, but Tomes still attends home games at Williams Arena. He was excited to get the first offer from the home state Big Ten program. He said, I've been to a few games. I love the staff over there. They're very welcoming, and I'm grateful for all the things they've been doing in this recruiting. Just a fun process. I'm embracing and watching all the teams to see how they're doing. That doesn't sound real encouraging for staying in Minnesota, does it? And I'm not one of those fans or media members or observers that says, well, that's how you turning your back. Another guy turning his back on the local team. You got to kind of do what you got to do for you. There was always that idea. And Tenneby and I just talked about this. Who was the kid? A Coffee State and played. What was his name?
Gosh, no.
Google Coffee. Not, like Hills Brothers or anything like that, but, because his old man played here. Is it Jameer Coffee? No, I can't, I think. You look it up. So he followed in his old man's footsteps and says, I'm going to play basketball here at the University of Minnesota.
Yeah, but, Amir.
Okay. And then who was the old man? His name should be in his.
Richard?
Richard Coffee.
Yeah.
And Richard was a really good player, too. And so, you want the local kids to stay, and there are fans. I hear from them all the time, whether it's the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line or our email address at booth@kfan.com or calls or whatever we've done over the years or emails to comment@kfan.com. There are many people that are bitter and almost feel as though if you're from the state of Minnesota, you owe it to the state to play for the University of Minnesota. And while it sounds good on the surface, not many kids have done. Now, McHale played here. Sam Jacobson played here. Who else played here? Coffee. I mean, two of the most recent phenoms that are both NBA players. Chet Holmgren, he didn't play here. He played 1 year at Gonzaga. Same with his teammate over at, where did they play their high school ball again? Benilde St. Mark? No, not Benilde.
Was in Minnehaha.
Yeah, Minnehaha Academy or whatever it was. Yeah, whatever it was. And so they, and Suggs, Jalen, I think he also played at Gonzaga for a year. So they went to Gonzaga. Do you say Gonzaga or Gonzaga?
I think I'd say Gonzaga.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Gonzaga then. I've always been a Gonzaga guy, but I'm going to change.
Data.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Gonzaga. So they played for Gonzaga, and people were bitter that they didn't stay here. But the other thing is, if you're elite like that, you're only staying for 1 year anyway, so now you can help. But then it's like the other thing I was talking about, like say like you're a Tyus Jones or something, because he also went elsewhere. He went to Duke, right? And you say, you'd like him to stay here and help, because I guess the theory is, if Brett Blakemore, let's say you're a phenom high school kid and you stay here, other high school players will see you here and go, hey, Brett Blakemore stayed here. Jalen Suggs stayed here. Amir Coffey stayed here. Chet Holmgren stayed here. I'm going to stay here too, and I'm going to help build this Minnesota Golden Gopher program back to the thrilling days of yesteryear, though I don't think we really had any thrilling days of yesteryear. As a matter of fact, that one thrilling day of yesteryear is wiped off the books because of the cheating scandal, right? When the Gophers went to the Final Four back in, I think it was 97. And so, I mean, I understand what the fans are saying, but if you're like a Tyus Jones, if you're the first one to say, okay, I'm going to try it, well, you're going to play, let's say you play your full 4 years. I don't think Tyus did he? I wouldn't think he played 4 years at Duke. Maybe he did. Maybe he was a 4-year guy. Most of the guys that make it to the NBA are not 4-year guys anymore. They're usually one and dones, right? Mm-hmm. You go to Kentucky, you're a one and done. You go to the if you've got NBA talent written all over you, you're not going to spend a lot of time playing college ball. But let's say Tyus would have stayed. Well, by the time other kids join him, well, he's gone, and then his college career could have been spent mired in mediocrity as far as the overall team. He may have had some wonderful individual success, but who wants to be the first guy to say, you know what, I'm staying here, and I'm staying 4 years, and we're going to build up this Gopher program. So I can't really blame any of these kids.
Well, how much money are you losing, too?
And that's the other thing. Now with Nil, you're right. I guess I was more or less going from the days before there was legal nil. I think in a lot of places there was nil
boosters.
Yeah, there was booster nil that we just didn't know about, or we knew, but nobody could prove anything, or they hit it well, whatever the case may be. But yeah, I don't blame kids. The example I've used a couple 13, 14 different times is like, let's say you're a really good college football player, right? And you're a Burger King All-American. You're a 5-star recruit or whatever stars they put with them, right? And you're like the Rhinestone Cowboy, the Glenn Campbell song. You're getting cards and letters from people you don't even know and offers coming over the phone. You go to the mailbox and you got this big stack of scholarship offers from your football player. You got all the helmet schools, Michigan, The Ohio State, Texas, Oregon, Florida, Oklahoma, whatever, right? All the big schools.
Notre
Dame. And then all of a sudden you see the one from Minnesota, and you kind of fold that over and put it on your coffee table and sit your beer on it to use as a coaster, right? And not everybody, but if you're the cream of the crop, well, you've got the pick of the litter. You can go anywhere you want. So why would you go to Minnesota?
Well, also, if you want to go pro, especially like in a basketball situation, I mean, the exposure is going to be if you're a good player on a team that's in the tournament and makes deep runs, you're going to get a lot more looks than a team probably fighting to be in the NIT. So, I mean, that's one way to look at it. If you want to be a one and done, you have to have that good sales pitch. If you're the Gophers, it'd be like, you can get NBA exposure and make your money, in 2 years, instead of, well, we want to build this program and we may be bad now, but we want to build something over your 4 years when you could have been making money potentially elsewhere.
Trev Winter's kid, Nolan, is playing for Wisconsin. He's getting more and more minutes all the time. I think he might be a junior now. I think Ben was really high on him. I mean, I remember being at gyms and seeing anytime Nolan Winter was playing, Ben Johnson was there and over there chatting with him, and that didn't work out. Now, I don't know was there nil money when Winter signed? I don't know. I don't know if he's getting paid or not. And, I think most of us realize that big-time college athletics now is more about the money than anything else. It really is. And, we can debate that forever about, is a scholarship and an education enough, I guess for kids that aren't going to the NBA it is, but if you're a star and you're thinking, well, wait a minute now, man, you NCAA and the TV networks and all the colleges are making all sorts of money, and I'm not getting any. We've had the discussion. Everybody knows what it's all about. So now with the Tomes kids, for instance, we'd love him to stay here. And is he going to get offered money? My guess is somebody out there. We talked about the other schools interested in him, right? I listed off the names. I got out of the story, so I don't want to go back to it. But it's like, will a couple of those schools go? Cedric says, well, I don't know. I might want to come there and go, well, does $500,000 entice you enough? And then you go, yeah, that sounds like some pretty good money. I've always wanted to play for Clemson. I've always liked the color orange. Love it.
Orange and purple.
Orange and purple. What great colors. I've always loved that. And I can't. And then I like the color green, too, even more. So, show me the money. And so that's the problem.
Can I ask you something along those lines? As far as...
About my checking account, it's down to $65,000.
No, only that, huh?
That's an unfortunate break for me.
As far as, not even NIL stuff, but just making the NBA, let's say you're a really good player, like a 4 or 5 star recruit. Do you think there's any difference to making the NBA if you're playing for the Gophers or playing for Duke?
No,
not at all.
No, and if they know
talent's talent.
If you're a player, you're a player. So it might help a titch, if that's a word. Could you look up the word titch? I think it was spelled T-I-C-H. I think because you've heard people say that word before, just a titch. Maybe it's a word that really doesn't exist in the English language. Now we have 1,000,001 words. Because you looked that up for me. We feel there are... AI said there's probably 1 million words in the English language.
Yeah.
There might now be 1,000,001. Is the word titch in there?
TICH is a British informal term used as a way of talking about or addressing a very small person.
Oh, really?
So I'm not sure.
Doesn't sound.
I don't know if you want to roll with that one or not. But
I guess then that has then been, at least when I was a kid or younger, that word was rather common where you go, how close were you? Just a titch. And I guess it came from talking about a small person in jolly old England. I'm small. How tall are you?
5'10", 5'9" in the cold.
You're taller than me. I'm 5. Yeah. I'm just barely pushing 5'8". I would consider myself not only a small person, but a very petty person. Small and petty. That's how I would describe myself. So, but good for the Gophers. They win a game. I'm happy for them. I know you're happy for them. And I know all Gopher fans everywhere are happy for them. I'm beginning to wonder if speaking of basketball, let's go to the pros now. Is there even a reason should they just give Oklahoma City the trophy and just say, let's take the rest of the year off? They make another statement game last night. They blew out the Cavaliers in a matchup at the NBA's best. This is Cliff Brunt writes, NBA for Associated Press. Dateline, Oklahoma City, Associated Press. Shea, how do you say his middle name? Or his first part of his last name, Gilligan. Alexander's last. I can't. I'm bad with pronunciations. Let's just call him. Don't we call him SGA?
Sure.
SGA made a loud statement in an MVP-worthy season with another 40-point performance. He was more excited about the one his Oklahoma City Thunder made with a nationally televised blowout of the Cleveland Cavaliers, a matchup of the two best teams in the National Basketball Association. They just met about a week ago. Here's what SGA said. There's obviously myself as the leading scorer of the team. I'm going to get most of the praise, but the world has seen all of the, we call them cockroaches in our locker room. Cockroaches and hyenas. Those are the guys who do the little work, the guys that don't get the most praise. They don't average 30, but they're part into our winning. And our season is just as big, and I'm glad the world gets to see that. He had 40 points, 8 assists in 3 quarters. They won 134-114 in a 20-point blowout. He was 17 of 26, often breaking the Cavaliers down off the dribble and getting into the rim or hitting mid-range jumpers. He is. I said this last year, and I know I'm not going. I'm not the only person to say this. He's the best player in basketball, is he not? I think he has been for a couple of years. I haven't watched him often. I got a chance to see him when didn't the Wolves play Oklahoma City in the playoffs 2 years ago? I think it was a couple of years ago they played him. I think we got beat, did we not?
Wow.
I think that yeah. Well, last year we got to the Western Conference Finals.
They did.
I think didn't we sweep a Phoenix? And then we beat Denver, and then we lost to the Mavs. But I think the year before when we made the playoffs, I think we got beat by Oklahoma City. And he was the runner-up last year in the MVP voting. And so, I like what he says. I like that he gives credit to the other players on the team, the cockroaches and the hyenas. That's sort of like the Common Man program wouldn't be the success it was without the cockroaches and the hyenas. Do you want to be a cockroach or a hyena? Which would you rather be called?
I feel like a hyena, but a cockroach always sticks around.
Oh, yeah.
Survives anything.
That survives anything.
Yeah.
Nuclear explosion.
Correct.
Can survive. You ever try to kill a cockroach? Many parts are edible. Oh, when I lived in Texas for about 7 months, I had no idea. You'd turn on the light in the kitchen, you'd see him scramble off your countertop and go down into the sink. And I tried to, so I thought, I'll just get this fly swatter in here. Nothing, just clank. They're like armored cars, right? Mm-hmm. So then you go, I'll roll up a fish wrap factory, Dallas-Fort Worth Daily Chronicle, or, the Houston Chronicle or the Dallas-Fort Worth Daily Planet. I'll roll that bad boy up. Same thing, just clank right off of them. No! And then you're going, okay, think you're tough, do you? Next thing I know, I go from a ball peen hammer to a regular hammer to a sledgehammer. I'm eventually got a jackhammer you can't kill them. They won't die. And they're dirty, ugly.
When I went to college in Florida, I lived there for 3 years. My apartment might as well have been, I probably have so much leftover poison from all the bug spray that I spray. I mean, I might have a class action lawsuit coming with some side effects. That's how much bug spray I put down, because that place
maybe that's where your hair went.
Crawling.
Is that because I know
it could be?
It could be. Maybe that was it.
Call this number right now. Get your hair back from all the bug spray you used in college. Yeah.
God,
sad, really.
It's really sad. It's cockroaches everywhere. So
you're giving this Wolves team no chance. That's what I'm hearing.
Well, I'm more concerned about. I don't really want to talk about the Wolves. I want to talk about, do you want to be a cockroach or a hyena? Now, what would Tennessee be? Because he laughed. Well, see, you're like a hyena. You laughed there, pretending you're trying. Common thinks he's being funny now, so I guess this is the place where I'm supposed to do the fake laugh. That was a fake laugh, wasn't it?
No,
it was a fake laugh. Come on.
We've been on the course. I laugh at your bits. Even off, I do. Well, yeah.
Yeah, we only laugh at Common's bits on the golf course because it's good to play with Common.
Well, it is nice.
Yeah, it is nice playing with the Common. So anyway, I don't give the Wolves any chance. I really don't. No, boy. But you know what? This team is going to turn things around. They're just wait for them to gel. Said everybody told me at the beginning of the season. I just got destroyed by the basketball community. I was panicking after. I think we lost our first game, and I panicked. Oh, you got to give him time, Common. You know, you're a casual. That's what baby brother Peter called him. You're a casual. You don't understand the NBA. You don't get it. You don't even know what a double dribble is. Okay, I don't. Though it has something to do with your prostate. And you know what? The only thing bigger than my ego is my prostate. And then I elevate my scrotum.
I always love that one.
We can talk about that some other time. But, and then I was supposed to, I would ask people, well, how long are we supposed to wait for the team to gel? Oh, 20 games, 25 games. We're almost at 40 now, and they're still not gelling. Suan, basically, he said, he wrote a piece. I liked it, too, because I think he's spot on where, we still got half a season to go, but right now, if you're grading the trade, we got punished. Because Bodega Cat, that team's in third place. That team looks like they're dangerous in the East. Now, I don't know if they're good enough to get past the Cleveland Cavaliers or the Boston Celtics, but that's a really good basketball team. And Bodega Cat is having a renaissance in his career. He's posting numbers like he never has anymore. Meanwhile, the guys we got in the trade, they've had their moments, but it's just difficult, I think. What we're learning is that Ant, who lives rent-free in my head, and Julius Randle, they're the same kind of player in one way for sure, and that is they both need the ball in their hand. They both like to shoot and score, and when you got two of those guys, it makes it more difficult. So, and we all know, we talked about this. I tried to tell people, Ant, Bodega Cat, the heart and soul of the club. Not afraid to defer to others, include everybody. Embraced Gobert, embraced Ant, and a lot of people dismissed all that stuff as childish. But it looks like right now that the trade is not good. And I know we have to do it for financial reasons, but it hasn't been good. Let's take a break. We'll come back. Lil B will join us. Feminine Touch of the program. Smoke Show from Glencoe. She joins us next on The Fan.